Okay, Iowans, sit down. We got work to do. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the warm welcome. More important, today I'm here to introduce to you a friend, a colleague, a stateswoman, and a leader. And we're honored today to have our newest senator to the Hill. Senator Ernst comes from Iowa. She was born and raised off of a farm in Montgomery County. She's worked at the county level. She's worked at the state level. She has worked over 20 years for the military, and she's now working at the federal level. She is an Iowa State graduate. Go Cyclones. Beat Iowa. She's in the ROTC program, and after college, earning her degree, she left to join the Army Reserves and then soon came to the Iowa National Guard. She's been a company commander, battalion commander. She's deployed to Iraq and Kuwait 2003 as a company commander. She currently serves as the Deputy Chief of Staff in the Iowa National Guard. And you talk about a busy lady. Just last week or the last 2 weeks, they've been on recess. And Senator Ernst has been down the hall 4 doors doing annual training. At the same time, her family at home has a daughter who's a junior in high school, Libby. And her husband, who keeps the fort held down, is a retired sergeant major with the Rangers. And Gail and the family are great supporters of Senator Ernst. Senator Ernst is the first female combat experienced woman senator ever in the history of our nation. In November this last year, Senator Ernst was elected as the first woman in Iowa to ever serve in a federal office. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored and privileged today to present to you our next speaker, Senator Joni Ernst.
My heavens, God bless you, all of you. Yes, I was going to take this stage. Are you kidding? Lead the way, right? But thank you all so much. It is a great honor and a great privilege to be with you here today. Thank you, General Orr, for the very kind introduction. Most folks here probably do know General Orr. He has been a great officer, a great leader for the Iowa Army National Guard, the Iowa Air Guard, and of course, a great leader for all of us as he does work with the folks in Washington, D.C. as well, communicating the great needs of the National Guard. So I do want to thank you for that, sir. Great leadership. I know many people today have made mention of the events of 14 years ago, but before I do get started, I want to bring this up again because it is so very important that we take a look back just for a moment, and honor and remember those lives that were lost on September 11th of 2001. We all remember that day, and I will tell you that the world on that day seemed to stop. We can all remember what we were doing when those planes hit the tower, when Flight 93 went down, and when the plane hit the Pentagon. We can all remember where we were. We saw the agonizing and heart-wrenching events unfold, and we watched as these unspeakable acts of terrorism claimed the lives of thousands of innocent Americans. America will never forget. Just this morning, my sister, she's been a great supporter, she texted me and she said, September 11th, we will never forget. And every time she does that, I respond back, America will never forget. So we will not forget. We must keep their memory alive. On that day, our adversaries intended harm, but they were met with unmatched bravery, heroism, and extraordinary fortitude. These attacks would not break the American spirit. In the midst of such tragedy and sorrow, we saw the best of the American people as our first responders, as our service members, and other heroes within our communities rose up to help in countless acts of selfless courage. Many of those folks are here in this room today. God bless all of you. We did not cower. We joined together in a remarkable bond of strength and of unity and of love. To fight and protect our freedoms, we know that we must do this every day, and that fight will continue. It has been one of my greatest honors to wear the uniform for more than 20 years and stand alongside the fearless men and women of our armed services, those that are willing to make tremendous sacrifices to defend our liberties and our way of life. Many folks have asked me why I joined the military, and I'm going to reflect back on that for just a second. The folks that joined me this morning, those young officers, have already heard this, so please bear with me. But years ago, I attended an agricultural exchange when I was at Iowa State University. It was the fall of 1989. It was an agricultural exchange where 18 Iowa students went to the Ukraine. And that's while it was still part of the former Soviet Union. So I went on this exchange, and I lived with a family on a collective farm, and we worked on the farm during the day, and in the evening we would come together as a community and talk about the day's events. The family that I stayed with, and remember, 1989, America was a world superpower. Ukraine or the Soviet Union, they were a world superpower. But living with that family on that collective, that family had no running water. We would use the well every morning, pump up the water. We had an outhouse out behind the chicken coop. They didn't have an automobile. They shared a bicycle amongst all the family members. They didn't have a telephone, and they didn't have a refrigerator. 1989. So we went into the fields every day, and they were farming with horses and wagons. 1989. So in the evening, we would get together and talk about the agricultural practices. At least that's what we thought we were going to do. But when we came together, what we heard from those Ukrainians was, what is it like to be an American? What is it like to be free? What is it like to travel anywhere that you want to travel at any time without asking someone's permission? And it really sunk in for all of us on that exchange. What a wonderful life we experienced in the United States of America. So when I got back to Iowa State University, thank you. When I got back to Iowa State University that fall then, I resolved to do whatever I could do to preserve our liberties and our way of freedom. My service was the only thing that I had to offer, but I chose to give it freely because I believe in the United States of America. So what I did, I signed up for Army ROTC, and I jumped in feet first and started this great adventure that has led me to the Iowa Army National Guard. So it's been a wonderful experience for me, and to give my service. And I talked about service this morning with all of our young officers. We can serve in so many capacities, whether it's in the military, as all of you do, whether it's service if you are a spouse of a service member, a family member of a service member. You can serve in your communities in many different ways, through volunteerism, activism, and you can also serve through your legislatures, through your city councils, through your PTO, whatever it might be. There are many levels of service. but we all know what it is to serve. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you have given for your communities, your state, and this great country we know is the United States of America. So thank you for that. For over 2 decades, I have worn the nation's uniform, and today I serve as a lieutenant colonel in the Iowa Army National Guard as the Deputy Chief of Staff, just 4 doors down from the good Adjutant General, General Orr from Iowa. And I have been so privileged in this capacity. I have served in the National Guard at all levels, from company commander through battalion command, many staff assignments, and it all has been such a tremendous experience for me. And I know that many of you have gone through some similar circumstances and really enjoyed the opportunities that came along with our service. I was very fortunate, I guess is the word, to serve from 2003 to 2004 as a company commander in Kuwait and Iraq. And as a company commander with a transportation company, we picked up and delivered supplies all throughout Kuwait and southern Iraq. And I will tell you that I've served with some of the bravest, finest men and women from the Iowa Army National Guard. And as a soldier, I learned firsthand the vital role that citizen soldiers play, that all of you play in your everyday lives. Our men and women take this task voluntarily and can be called to serve at any time. Just as the General pointed out earlier, the banner behind us, we are ready for America's call. While overseas, I had the opportunity to really experience firsthand what it is to know great joy whenever we had a transportation convoy come back in through the gate safe and sound, and at times great fear as well. And many of you have experienced that as well. I saw firsthand how dangerous threats against our nation can truly be, and the commitment of our adversaries in achieving their goals. It is becoming increasingly important that our military, whether it's our National Guard, our active duty component, our reserves, it is important that we always work together in one cohesive unit. We are strongest in numbers when working together to build one another up and support one another. And I am so thankful that today we will have General Milley joining us in this forum. I think he is going to be a tremendous leader for us, those of us on the Army side, as we work to repair maybe the bonds that we have seen broken in the past. But we must be a cohesive unit. Thank you. Strength in the National Guard is vital. Absolutely vital. Do we have recruiters here with us today? Maybe a few of you out there. I see a couple hands. But we know that strength is vital, and our recruiters are working very, very hard to fill all of the slots, the needs that we have as a military. But our mission is clear, and we come from all corners of our states and our country united on the same goal. And that goal is to defend our freedom. I continue to remain focused on strengthening our national security, both in my role in the Iowa Army National Guard and on the Senate Armed Services Committee, where we discuss ways to support our exceptional military and develop bipartisan strategies to confront the terrorism of Al-Qaeda, of ISIS, and all of those that are radicalized by them. Our nation faces, in this very difficult time, some of the most complex security challenges in more than a generation, and a strong National Guard is critical to defending our nation and protecting our freedoms. Proposals which would reduce Army National Guard in strength and remove its attack aviation would return the Guard to a strategic reserve. Instead, I believe we should be strengthening the Guard's capabilities so it can continue supporting our national defense as the Army's operational reserve. It is absolutely critical that we not reduce our combat capabilities and end strength reductions in the Guard and active force. These cuts brought by sequestration reduces our ability to defend our nation and benefits America's adversaries like Russia and China. I'm sure Vladimir Putin hopes Congress keeps kicking the can down the road rather than working on an end to sequestration. It does not make sense to fold on our military when China and Russia are doubling down on modernization and projecting force around the globe, particularly in the South China Sea, Ukraine, and Syria, in efforts to challenge our resolve and intimidate our allies. Rest assured, I will continue to work with my colleagues to repeal the sequester which harms our total National Guard force. Thank you. Now, I would like to move to a topic that has been taking a lot of our time in the United States Senate, and rightfully so. And that's the discussions that we have held over the past number of weeks and months regarding the nuclear agreement with Iran. I believe it is one of the most consequential national security decisions we may ever face. I've heard my peers talk about the things that they fear, the things that bother them, or the things that keep us up at night. And truly, for the first time in my lifetime, I have experienced the thing that keeps me up at night. The thing that keeps me up at night is this nuclear agreement. I have read the unclassified portions. I have read the classified portions. I have, however, not been able to read any side deals to the Iran nuclear agreement, such as the ones that exist between Iran and the IAEA. So like all of you, protecting and defending this country is something that I take very seriously and very personally. I spoke on the floor of the Senate earlier this week about the serious concerns that I have over this nuclear agreement with Iran and why I believe we must put our citizens' interests and their national security first. This deal does not secure an end to Iran's support of terrorism. Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, and we are giving them a free pass with this deal to continue their efforts. In addition to the billions of dollars of sanctions relief, which leaves Iran poised to double down on their terror efforts, the deal also lifts the UN embargo to advanced conventional weapons and ballistic missiles. As a veteran of Kuwait and Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, I am beside myself, as many other Americans are, regarding the part of the deal which supports sanctions relief for one of the most widely known terrorists in this world, that is General Qasem Soleimani of Iran. General Soleimani is directly responsible for the deaths of several hundred Americans and the wounding of thousands more during the war in Iraq. One of the signature tools to attack American service members was an improvised explosive device, IED, known as the Explosively Formed Projectile, or EFP. These EFPs were provided by Iran exclusively to groups they controlled in order to kill Americans. If you ask American service members who served in the Iraq War, They will tell you that these types of IEDs used by Iranian-supported Shia militia forces were some of the most deadly and devastating types emplaced by any of the Iraqi insurgency groups, including Al-Qaeda in Iraq. We owe it to our veterans and our current service members who have sacrificed to stop Iran's support of terror. I have been urging my colleagues to consider Iran's true intent and not to underestimate Iran's will to enhance its capability to destabilize the Middle East, threaten American security, and the security of our allies in that region and around the globe. One last thing I would like to touch on. I hate to leave you on such a heavy topic. There will be more discussions to follow, but I want to leave you with something that is a little more uplifting. And by doing that, I'd like to talk a little bit about the two graduates that we saw from Ranger School just this last month. I know that have been in the news lately. And as the first combat veteran female to serve in the United States Senate, I do want to take a moment and recognize that major accomplishment of our first two female graduates from Ranger School. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to recognize First Lieutenant Kristen Graced and Captain Shay Haver as the first female graduates from the U.S. Army's Ranger School. They persevered, they sacrificed, and they did it. They did it. And I was thrilled, and I will tell you, we had a little bit of a divided household for a while. General Orr is laughing because he knows my husband. My husband is a retired command sergeant major who served 28 years of active duty service. He served with units such as 75th Ranger Regiment, 1st Ranger Battalion. He was a Ranger instructor at the Florida phase of Ranger School, and he retired as the command sergeant major of the Florida phase of Ranger School. So he has been very reluctant to acknowledge that perhaps women did have the ability to make it through Ranger School. So, however, the weekend that they graduated, he had gone to Oklahoma to visit another command sergeant major friend that had commanded one of the Ranger battalions, also served as a Ranger instructor, and a few other retired NCOs from that Ranger community. And they acknowledged that these women did it without any strings attached or without any additional quarter given to them. They had visited with many of their friends that still remain within that Ranger community, and they did it on their own, and they did it by working as part of a team, one Army. So congratulations to those fine young women. We're glad to see them advance out of Ranger School. Hooah. So just in closing, folks, I do want to say thank you so much for your time and attention today. We have many great members that are serving in the United States legislature. We have Guard members. We have reservists. We have active duty members that are off of active duty now, but serving in a capacity with our legislature. I will tell you, it is an exciting time. You have friends in the United States Congress. What I need of you is to participate as you are doing today. General Hargett and I were discussing this earlier. I am encouraging all of you to understand that we know and have experienced many of the same things that you have experienced in your military service. We want you to know that you can come to us and talk to us about those issues that are important to the National Guard. It is imperative, again, that we are working as one team, all of us. So please take that time to get to know your legislators, reach out to them, make appointments with them if they're in Washington, D.C., and you're in Washington, D.C. Make appointments with them if they happen to be in your home state. So please do that. Do that not only for me, do that for your organizations, and do it for the National Guard as a whole. So God bless you all. I wish you the best in the upcoming years. Continue to reach out to us. God bless you. Thank you, Tennessee, for being a great host. And God bless these great United States of America.